Chemical reactions of photosynthesis occurs in plant cells in structures known as chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain small discs called thylakoids, and they are surrounded by the stroma, which is where the Calvin cycle occurs. The thylakoids contain photosystems 1 and 2 that produce energy that will later be used for the Calvin cycle. Photosystems contain chlorophyll molecules that absorb electrons and excite them. Light excites the molecule, which will trigger the release of heat and fluorescence, and then it will return back to its ground state. The chlorophylls deliver absorbed light to the reaction center, and this is where energy and electrons are transported to the electron transport chain. Once the reaction center has been oxidized, it is reduced by gaining an electron, so it is ready to absorb more energy. A lipid-soluble compound transfers electrons from photosystem 2 to the cytochrome B6F complex. The electrons lost in photosystem 2 are replaced by electrons from an oxidized water molecule. Cytochrome B6F complex pumps hydrogen ions into the lumen and creates an electrochemical gradient, which there goes into ATP synthase also. A water-soluble protein carries low-energy electrons from cytochrome complex to the photosystem 1 by diffusing through the thylakoid lumen. The low-energy electrons are re-excited and pass through the electron transport chain, where they reduce NADP to NADPH. If the NADP reductase is busy, then the high-energy electrons will recycle through again from a pathway known as the cyclic electron transport. This will further enhance the production of ATP because additional protons are pumped into the lumen to help drive ATP synthase. Next is the Calvin cycle, which synthesizes carbohydrates from carbon dioxide. It consists of three main parts. The first one is carboxylation, the second is reduction, and the third is regeneration. Carboxylation of CO2 and RUBP is catalyzed by ribisco. The product of carboxylation are two molecules of 3-PGA. Ribisco is in charge of adding carbon atoms needed for the formation of carbohydrates. It does not increase the energy, so in order for the energy to increase, carbon compounds must be reduced by NADPH. NADPH transfers energy and electrons in order to form carbohydrates. The reduction of 3-PGA consists of two steps. The first step is ATP is used to phosphorylate the compound, and the second step is NADPH transfers two high-energy electrons to the phosphorylated compound. One molecule of CO2 and one molecule of RUBP create two 3-PGA molecules. Two ATP and two NADPH molecules are required, and these energy transfers form G3P, which is converted into DHAP. Together, these produce triose phosphate. Triose phosphate are used to regenerate RUBP with the help of ATP. 5 3-carbon molecules of triose phosphate are reshuffled to form 3 5-carbon molecules of RUBP. Therefore, the cycle must occur 3 times in order for it to produce 6 3-carbon molecules. 5 are used to make RUBP, and 1 is used to synthesize carbohydrates. So now I'm going to talk about photorespiration, and this is when O2 enters the Calvin cycle instead of CO2. When ribisco adds O2 instead of CO2 to RUBP, the result is 1 molecule with 3 carbon atoms and 1 molecule with 2 carbon atoms, which is also known as 2-phosphoglycolate or something. And that cannot be used in the Calvin cycle. But it can be partially recycled and released as CO2. ATP is used to drive reactions that convert a portion of 2-phosphoglycolate into 3-PGA, and the rest of the process occurs the same as the Calvin cycle, but less triose phosphate is produced because it's only coming from 1 3-PGA instead of 2.